It's not that I'm so eager to sit in front of you. It's just an order from His Holiness Srila Shiva Swami Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj. And yesterday, somehow he ordered me to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita today after Harinarayan Prabhu's Kirtan. If you have something to do, you can please go. Otherwise, we'll just fulfill the order. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Chanaranjana, Jaya Braja Chanaranjana. Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Kunja Behare, Jaya Kunja Behare. Jaya Kunja Behare, Jaya Kunja Kunja Behare, Jaya Kunja Behare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So we are going to read today Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, verse 35. Yajñatvana punarmoha mevamyasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasatmanyato mai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mine. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya, Ma, not Ya, this. Something that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is the only great historical personality and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only His different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses His own separate existence in His many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experienced in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that Absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, and that 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. That is the case in the Absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the Absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless non-different from Him. The bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teachings of Gita are targeted towards this end, that a living being as Krishna's eternal servitor cannot be separated from Krishna, and his senses of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. The living entities, as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily difference arises from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from a bona fide spiritual master, and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is the supreme shelter for all living entities, and giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in Bhagavatam. Muktir hitanya tvarupam swarupena virastati. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna consciousness. Yagyatvana punarmoha mevam yasyasi pandava yanabhutanya shishani drakshasatmanyato mai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Om Jnana Chimirandasya Jnana Anjana Sharakaya Chakshurim Vitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhudevacha Patitanam Bhavanidyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gurave Gaurachandra Radhikaya Gadavaya Krishna Krishna Bhakta. Usually devotees know very well the 434 verse from Bhagavad Gita, the famous one which is describing the three conditions for receiving spiritual knowledge. And as we remember, those three conditions, very important conditions, are pranipat, which means surrender to the spiritual master, pariprashna, which means inquiring, and Srila Prabhupada, by the way, defines inquiring as intelligent inquiring. So, and seva, which means serving the spiritual master. And it's very interesting, the correlation between these three items of receiving knowledge, because pranipat means full surrender. It's not just partial surrender, it means surrender on the level of the body, surrender on the level of words, and surrender on the level of heart. And when we approach the spiritual master with full respect and this full surrender mentality, then the spiritual master is open to share the thing which Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls as bhajana rahasya, which means the secrets of his own bhajana, which otherwise they remain just hidden. They remain concealed, because the spiritual master is not so eager to share knowledge with people who are not qualified and who are not eager to receive knowledge. That's the reason in Vedic times, usually the Vedic knowledge was hidden from general population, in the same way like deity worship wasn't available for common class of people. And in a sense, we can say that knowledge is also a deity in a sound form. And therefore, the Brahminical tradition or the Vedic tradition of acharyas, in that tradition, all the spiritual masters and acharyas, they were very, very careful regarding to whom they're revealing the knowledge. And one of the most important qualifications is pranipat, which means the ability to respect, the ability to listen, and the ability to accept the authority. But that's not enough, because we need also to inquire. Pari prashna, we have this word perimeter, which is coming from pari. And pari prashna means to inquire, going around the subject till the moment we understand fully, truly, we understand the subject. But it's very interesting that even when you fulfill these two conditions, is that still is not enough, because when we surrender to somebody, we receive knowledge. The knowledge can remain just theoretical if we are not serving the person from whom we received knowledge. And that's a very, very important point, because sometimes, as Jiva Goswami is describing in Bhakti Sandarbha, there are two types of sevakas, or two types of disciples, two types of those who are serving a spiritual master and acharya. There are disciples who are more concentrated on their own sadhana, on their own perfection in spiritual life, and they are more interested in developing the understanding of what means Navavidha Bhakti, those 9 types of Bhakti, and they're trying to get perfection through those 9 types of Bhakti. And the service to the spiritual master is a kind of like additional anga towards their own sadhana. And then we have the second type of disciples, are disciples who are more dedicated to serving their spiritual master, and the 9 processes of bhakti, they are becoming an anga which is supporting their service. So in other words, they need Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, but they need it not for themselves, they need them to maintain their mentality of service to the spiritual master. So in other words, they need to practice those 9 types of bhakti in order to have the power and to have the strength and the faith and energy in order to serve their spiritual master. And because of that mentality, Jiva Goswami is saying, he's quoting a lot of different verses in this regard. Because of that mentality, they receive the full mercy. They are called Prema Vaichita, I think it's called, or something like Prema Lipso, which means that they are receiving the full mercy of the spiritual master. And as a result of that mercy that they receive from the spiritual master, they realize the truths that are described in the 35th verse, which usually devotees, they know the 34th verse, but they usually somehow they're not quite attentive to the next verse, which is very, very important, because this verse is describing the result of pranipat, pariprashna and seva. And in a sense, as our Guru Maharaj is often stressing, that we need to know our sadhya, we need to know where we are going and which direction we are going. And this verse is describing what is happening after we receive the mercy of the spiritual master as a result of pranipat, pariprashna and seva. And Krishna here is describing that when you receive the knowledge, and we are not speaking now about theoretical knowledge, but we are speaking about realized knowledge, then first of all, you'll never become a victim of Maya. You'll always be protected, because this inner connection that you have with your spiritual master will always guard you and will always protect you. And then you'll understand that our living beings, they are part of the Supreme. Because sometimes we can believe, for example, that devotees are a part of Supreme, but our noisy neighbors not necessarily are a part of Supreme. Or, for example, our boss in our job, not necessarily that he is also a part of Supreme. And therefore we have this tendency to see partially that, yes, devotees, they are part of Supreme, or maybe some cows, they are also part of the Supreme, but some, I don't know, some noisy neighbors or some people who are agitating our minds that not necessarily are part of the Supreme Lord. But this seeing and understanding that all the living entities, they are part of the Supreme Lord, and we have to interact with them accordingly. It's a very, very important part and aspect of Sambandha Dhyana. And I think the most famous story in the Vedas that are illustrating this principle of Pranipat, Pariprashna and Seva is described in Chandogya Upanishad. Is the famous story about the boy Jabala, who once he wanted to come to Haridrubata Muni for receiving knowledge, and he came to sage Haridrumata, and he asked him, can you please accept me as your disciple? And the sage asked him, can you tell me what is your Gotra? And Jabala, he went to his mother and he asked, Mother, my teacher is asking me to which Gotra I belong. And then the mother said that, my boy, unfortunately, being a servant of many men in different houses, I even don't remember who is exactly your father. But you can tell to your acharya, to your teacher, that you are just a son of Jabala. And from Sanskrit, Jabala means that she was taking care about animals. She was a simple woman. And the boy, he came to Haridrumata Muni. He said that my mother is not sure who is my father. And she just said that I'm the son of Jabala. And when Haridrumata Muni, he heard the words of Jabala, he was very, very happy because he was sincere. And he said only a Brahmana, only somebody who was conceived by a Brahmana father could say the truth, and therefore he said that always speak the truth and the truth will always protect you. And usually devotees, they know this part of the story, but the story has a second part which is very, very interesting, because after receiving initiation from Haridrumata Muni, he was given an order, and the sage said that I have some cows which are very, very sick, and I want you to take care about those cows. And then the young Jabala, he said that, okay, and I promise you that I'll increase the number of those cows, I'll heal those cows that were sick, and I'll also increase the numbers of the cows, and in a few years I'll come back with a bigger herd of cows. And that's exactly what happened. He took the instruction of his spiritual master like life and soul. He took care about those cows, and he was feeding them with the best grass. He was giving them the best water, and the most important, he took care with all of his heart about those cows. And as a result, in a few years, the demigods, they came to him one by one. There were 4 demigods that came to him and revealed to him the knowledge about Brahman, or the knowledge that everything is spiritual, everything is related to the absolute truth. And when he came back to sage Haridrumata immediately saw that his disciple is enlightened. His disciple has a special aura, special energy around himself. And you know that sometimes when we are covered by the mode of ignorance, you immediately can see it. Like Prabhupada, even sometimes he made an observation to one of devotees that you are looking morose. And devotee immediately he responded that, no, I'm not morose. And Prabhupada said, no, you are morose. And actually, according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa, a disciple doesn't have the right to be morose in the front of his spiritual master. He always has to be satisfied, because this, like for example, a wife should always be satisfied, especially when the husband is coming home after a long day. She should be happy, smiling, you know, and this is giving him energy. In the same way, a disciple, he always has to be happy, And actually one of the qualifications of a guru is also that he's always happy and always satisfied, which means that Brahmanishtan, he's situated in Brahman, he's spiritually situated. But a disciple always, also when he's enlivened, he's happy, he's satisfied in his heart. And the sage Haridramata immediately could detect that he attained some special realization. He asked, my boy, can you tell me what happened? From where you received the knowledge that gave you this enlightenment? And then the boy said that, my dear Gurudev, everything that I have is happening by your mercy. But I met some demigods who offered me knowledge. And then the sage said, can you tell me exactly what knowledge you received? And then the boy repeated the knowledge that he received from demigods. And then Haridramata said that now I'll repeat the same knowledge to you, and only now you'll fully realize it. And that's a very, very subtle, important point, that we can receive knowledge, and we have to receive knowledge from different Shravana gurus, from different senior Vaishnavas, from the God brothers of our spiritual master. But we have to confirm our understanding, we have to confirm our realizations, and to confirm them with our spiritual master. And when he is confirming them, then we attain a full realization of knowledge. And that was exactly the moment when the boy attained full realization of transcendental knowledge described in the Vedas. And Srila Prabhupada usually described this point in terms of the famous verse that devotees usually know, Yasyadeve Parabhakti, Tyadeve Tathagurau. Prakashante. Prakashante means that it's coming from the heart, it's prakash, it's revealed. And that's exactly the same principle that is described here in the 35th verse. So dear devotees, I'm happy because I fulfilled the order of our spiritual master. Thank you very much for being patient, and all the best to all of you. And we are looking forward to hear tomorrow from our Guru Maharaj and to take part in his transcendental kirtan. Srila Shivaram Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande,
Radha Govinda Prabhu ki,
Radha Krishna Prabhu ki.